Welcome to Sunny's Mindset Lab. Today, we have a very special guest, John C. Maxwell himself, and we're discussing one of the most important leadership books ever written, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. John, it's such an honor to have you. You know, your book has been a blueprint for so many, but you've always framed it as more than just a list of rules. Could you tell us about this 5-stage journey a leader takes?
Sunny, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to walk through these laws with your audience, and you're exactly right. It's not a checklist, it's really a developmental path. See, true leadership is a journey that starts from the inside and works its way out. We're going to explore how a leader first builds their own potential, then their character, then their team, then they learn how to win, and finally, how to create a lasting legacy. It's a process, and that's probably the first thing every aspiring leader really needs to grasp.
That sounds like an incredibly powerful framework. So let's lay it out for everyone. We're going to break this down into 5 key stages: the leader's foundation, the character of a leader, building your circle, the art of winning, and wrapping it all up with creating a lasting legacy. John, why is it so important to follow this sequence? Why do we have to start with the foundation?
Well, that's a great question. You just can't build a strong house on a weak foundation. It's that simple. Everything, and I mean everything, in leadership is built on the leader's own personal capacity. If you try to build a team or chase a big vision without first doing the hard work on yourself, you're really just setting yourself up for failure. That's why we always start with the individual.
All right, let's dive right into stage 1 then, the leader's foundation. And the subtitle here says it all: establishing your personal potential. John, this feels like it's all about looking in the mirror before you ever try to lead a team out the door. What's the core idea here?
You've hit the nail on the head. Before you can lead anyone else, you have to be able to lead yourself effectively. This is all about getting honest about your own strengths, your weaknesses, and most importantly, your capacity for leadership. This foundation is what determines just how high you can build anything.
And that brings us perfectly to our first law, the law of the lid. The visual here is so clear. It shows this direct link between your leadership ability and your overall effectiveness. John, can you unpack this for us? What does it really mean to have a lid on your potential?
Sure, think of it this way. Let's say your personal talent, your drive, your great ideas, let's rate all that at an 8 out of 10. But your leadership ability, it's only a 4. Well, that 4 becomes the lid on your potential. You will never, ever perform at a level higher than your leadership ability allows. I have seen so many brilliant, talented people who hit a hard ceiling in their careers, and it's not because they lacked skill. It's because they lacked leadership. They couldn't rally a team, they couldn't inspire a vision, or navigate through tough challenges. Their leadership was the lid.
Wow. So it's not really about how talented you are as an individual, but about how well you can lead others to multiply that talent.
Precisely. Your leadership ability literally determines the height of your personal and your organizational success. Full stop.
That's a really powerful and maybe even a little bit of a sobering thought for a lot of people. So if we have a lid, the obvious next question is, how on earth do we raise it? And that brings us to the law of process.
Right, and this is the hopeful part of the whole equation. You see, leadership isn't some overnight transformation. It's a process. It develops daily, not in a day. You raise that lid by committing yourself to a lifetime of learning. It's the books you read, the seminars you go to, the mentors you listen to, and honestly, it's the small, disciplined choices you make every single day that compound over time.
So beyond that personal growth, what's another really key foundational skill for a leader?
Oh, that would have to be the law of navigation. This law says that, look, anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a real leader to chart the course. A manager can keep things running day to day, but a leader sees farther down the road. They're the ones anticipating the icebergs, planning ahead, and giving the crew this deep confidence that they know exactly where they're going and how they're going to get there.
Okay, so we've established that leadership is this daily process of raising our personal lid and learning to navigate. Now we're moving on to stage 2, the character of a leader. I love this subtitle, Building the Inner Qualities That Attract Followers. John, what's the big shift in focus here?
Well, once you commit to your own growth, the focus has to turn inward, to the very core of who you are as a person. This stage is all about developing the qualities that make people want to follow you, not because they get a paycheck, but because they are genuinely drawn to your character. At its heart, it's all about building trust.
And that leads us right to the law of solid ground. The slide just says trust is the foundation. This feels absolutely critical.
It's completely non-negotiable, Sonny. Trust is the absolute bedrock of leadership. You can have the most brilliant strategy in the world, but if your people don't trust you, you have nothing. Character is what communicates consistency and respect. I mean, think of someone like Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War. His integrity, his character became the solid ground that a whole nation could stand on. They trusted him, even when the future was terrifyingly uncertain.
And I imagine that trust naturally builds respect, which I believe is another one of your laws.
It is. That's the law of respect. People naturally follow leaders who are stronger than themselves. See, when people respect you as a person, they admire you. When they respect you as a friend, they love you. But when they respect you as a leader, they follow you. And that kind of respect is earned through a consistent, trustworthy character, day in and day out.
That's a fantastic example. And that trust leads directly to this next law, doesn't it? The law of influence. The quote here is so powerful. The true measure of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. John, why is influence the ultimate measure?
Because a title doesn't make you a leader, a title makes you a manager. That's just positional leadership. It's the lowest level. Real leadership is measured by your ability to influence others, and that has to be earned. This leads to what I call the law of E.F. Hutton. When the real leader speaks, people listen. You've seen it in meetings, right? The person with a title speaks, and everyone's polite. But then another person speaks up, and suddenly everyone leans in. They start taking notes, and the whole direction of the room just changes. That second person, that's the one with real influence.
So how does a developing leader start to build that kind of authentic influence?
Well, it comes from a few places. First, there's the law of connection. Leaders have to touch a heart before they can ask for a hand. You've got to connect with people on an emotional level to really understand their dreams and their struggles. It also comes from the law of magnetism. Who you are is who you attract. If you're a positive, hardworking, visionary person, guess what? You're going to attract other positive, hardworking, visionary people. And then, guiding all of this is the law of intuition. Leaders just see things others don't. They have this innate ability to read situations, trends, people, and make calls based on that sense. It's like a leadership sixth sense, and it's honed by experience and character.
Okay, so this is incredible. We've built our foundation, we've honed in on a whole suite of character laws. Now we're starting to move outward with stage 3, building your circle. The subtitle is cultivating and empowering others. John, why is this the next logical step in the journey?
Because leadership is not a solo act. It just isn't. A leader's potential is always capped if they try to do everything themselves. The greatest leaders I've ever known understand that their success is determined by the people they surround themselves with. This stage is all about that critical shift from me to we.
This brings us to the law of the inner circle. And wow, the idea that a leader's potential is determined by those closest to them, that's huge. How should a leader really think about building that inner circle?
You have to be incredibly intentional about it. Your inner circle should never be composed of yes men. You need people who bring different strengths to the table, just like the slide suggests. These are the people who are going to challenge you, support you, and cover for your weaknesses. Who you choose to spend your time with and who you listen to will, without a doubt, determine the entire trajectory of your leadership.
So it's a very strategic process. It's not just about who you like.
Absolutely, 100%. It's about building a team that collectively is far stronger than any single individual.
And once you have that team, the next law you talk about is the law of empowerment. The slide says, only secure leaders give power to others. That is such a profound statement. What is the fear that holds those insecure leaders back?
The fear is that if they empower others, they'll somehow become less important. They believe that power is this finite resource that they have to hoard. So they micromanage, they hold information close to the vest. But secure leaders, they understand that power is actually multiplied when it's shared. By empowering others, they raise up new leaders, and in doing so, they extend their own influence far beyond what they could ever do alone.
And is that the ultimate goal of empowerment then, to create more leaders?
Precisely. That's the law of reproduction. It takes a leader to raise up a leader. It's not enough to just gather followers. Great leaders reproduce themselves. They find people with potential, they invest in them, they intentionally develop them, and they create a culture of leadership that permeates the entire organization.
So we've built ourselves, our character, and our team. Now it's time for stage 4, the art of winning. Okay, this feels like where the rubber really meets the road. John, what is the core focus of this stage?
This is exactly where leadership is put to the test. It's all about execution. You can have a great team and a wonderful character, but if you can't deliver results, you're not leading effectively. This stage is all about translating that vision and that potential into tangible victory.
But to get to victory, you need everyone pulling in the same direction. And that's the law of buy-in. The slide here lays out a really crucial sequence. People buy into the leader first, then they buy into the vision. Why is that order so incredibly important?
Because people don't follow worthy causes. They follow worthy leaders who promote worthy causes. Think about it. If people don't trust you as a person, they're not going to commit to your vision, no matter how brilliant or inspiring it sounds. The leader's credibility is the currency that buys the team's commitment.
So once you have that buy-in, what's the first step to make sure the team is focused on the right actions to get to that win?
Yeah, that's the law of priorities. Great leaders understand that activity is not the same thing as accomplishment. They live by the Pareto principle, focusing 80% of their effort on the top 20% of their priorities, the things that give the greatest return. And that requires the incredible discipline to say no to a lot of good things in order to say yes to the absolute best things.
So you've got buy-in, your priorities are set, the focus becomes singular. The law of victory is so uncompromising. Leaders find a way for the team to win. This sounds pretty intense.
It is. Victorious leaders have an absolute intolerance for defeat. They don't make excuses, they find a way. But listen, victory isn't just about willpower. It requires other laws to work with it. You need the law of the big mo. Momentum is a leader's best friend. It's so much easier to steer a moving ship. You also have to embrace the law of sacrifice. A leader must give up to go up. There is simply no success without sacrifice. And finally, you have to master the law of timing. Knowing when to make your move is just as crucial as knowing what move to make. The wrong action at the wrong time can be a disaster, but the right action at the right time, that's the key to success.
This journey has been incredible, John, and it brings us to the final and perhaps the most profound stage. Stage 5, creating a legacy. The subtitle here is Achieving Lasting Exponential Impact. How does a leader make that mental shift from just winning today to building a legacy that lasts for tomorrow?
This is the ultimate evolution for a leader. It's the big shift from success to significance. See, success is about what you achieve for yourself. Significance is about what you do for others. Legacy-minded leaders understand that their ultimate impact isn't measured by what happens during their tenure, but by what continues to happen long after they're gone.
And that brings us to the law of explosive growth, which gives us such a powerful visual for this idea of legacy. Can you explain the difference between leadership addition and leadership multiplication?
I'd be happy to. If you focus only on gathering followers, you grow by addition. You add one person at a time. Your impact is always limited to your personal reach. But if you want explosive exponential growth, you must develop leaders. When you pour your life into a leader, you're not just influencing one person, you're influencing that leader's entire network. And they go on to develop other leaders, who then develop other leaders. That is multiplication. That's how you build a movement that has a life of its own.
And that really is the ultimate test, isn't it? The law of legacy. A leader's lasting value is measured by succession. What does that actually mean in practice for a leader today?
It means that the greatest testament to your leadership is not the buildings with your name on them, but the strength of the organization and the capability of the leaders you leave behind. Ask yourself, did you create something so dependent on you that it crumbles the moment you leave? Or did you build a culture and develop people so well that it not only survives but actually thrives in your absence? That's the real question. Your legacy is what your people do after you're gone.
So to recap this entire incredible journey, it all starts with you raising your own potential with the law of the lid. Then it's solidified by your character and the trust you build through the law of solid ground. It gets amplified by empowering others with the law of the inner circle. It's proven by getting results with laws like the law of buy-in and the law of victory. And finally, it's immortalized by developing other leaders through the law of legacy. John, this has been an incredibly insightful journey through all 21 of your laws.
Thank you, Sunny. It truly is a path, and each stage builds right on top of the last. If you master the law you're on, you'll be more than prepared for whatever comes next.
John, to close us out, the final slide asks a really powerful question. What are you doing today to raise your lid? What is the one key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with from our conversation today?
That leadership is not a destination, it's a daily decision. It's not reserved for a chosen few. It's for anyone who is willing to embark on the process. Your leadership journey starts right now, with the next book you decide to read, the next question you ask, the next person you choose to encourage. The single most important investment you can ever make is the investment in yourself. Because it's only by raising your own lid that you earn the right and the ability to lift others to theirs.
John, thank you so much for sharing these 21 powerful laws with us. This conversation is going to help so many emerging leaders today.
It was truly my pleasure. Leadership is a journey, and I just hope these laws help guide your listeners forward.